Barney is really looking rather green around the gills in episode 1, you might say. Who can blame him, really? He has a lot on his mind, practically leading the resistance in City 17, losing his job with the filth, or rather the police, I should say, continually trying to protect Dr. Kleiner, making sure Gordon is shuffled along through all of the right places, and now, at the crescendo of City 17's desperate final stroke against the Combine, he has to arrange the immediate evacuation of as many citizens as possible before they're vaporized by some kind of fusion reaction. Now, like Alex, he's gone for some time, obviously, without sleep, but while Alex and Gordon have the luxury of passing through a veritable time warp, Barney has been stuck for an extra week in City 17 fighting the Combine. So given the severe disarrangement of his hair and the growth of stubble on his face, it's likely to conclude that he has gone 10 days or more since he pulled off that filthy uniform and had a shower. Taking all of these things into consideration, I suppose it's really no surprise that he's emotionally on edge, a little bit irritable and a little bit short-tempered. But despite all of this, it's still Barney Calhoun, and his sense of humour still manages to shine through, even in the worst of circumstances, such as his crack to Gordon about his limited supply of crowbars, and his rather surprising and openly flirtatious remarks about Gordon and Alex. It's good to see in the end that Barney does indeed make it onto the second-to-last train out of Dodge, thereby securing a place in episode 2, and hopefully, for his sake, a shower, a rest, and a nice cup of tea. It would do him a world of good, I think. Now, in my real life, I work in a hospital part-time. I have for over 10 years, so you can imagine my delight upon discovering that one of the game's major zombie battles occurs in a hospital, despite the fact that the one where I work is more like 50s and 60s architecture as opposed to this more turn-of-the-century, institutional, sanatorium-styled layout. The hospital in episode 1, with its yellowish light, barred windows, great archways, and lots of sort of sandstone walls, it reminds me a great deal of Van Gogh's paintings that he did during his institutionalization. It feels like the sort of place you would end up if you had tuberculosis. You might have noticed by now that the shotgun shells I'm using are packed with birdshot as opposed to buckshot. Cheating? Possibly. Entertaining? Definitely. I'll use 75 pellets per shotgun round with a damage of 1 point per pellet. It seems to do the job rather well, with the pleasant side effect of it creating a simply horrible and beautiful mess on the wall. Every blast of a shotgun creates a new impressionist work of art on the pockmarked plaster. Zombies, headcrabs, and outlines, especially with their sort of iridescent yellow, gold, and red splatterings, really create just a bloody mess. While buckshot, of course, is the universal shot size for combat applications, I think that some ground must be given up in the name of aesthetics. If your graphics accelerator can handle it, I highly recommend using the birdshot. This is one of my favourite parts when you walk through the operating room and then you see the bits blown past you through the open doorway. There's like a leg, an arm, and a torso, probably. While some of this 3.5 to 4 minute long zombie battle in the hospital is obviously scripted, most of it appears to be completely random, and every time you play through it, it's slightly different. But also, every time it's played through, the scripted portions blend seamlessly with the random events to create what appears every single time to be an extremely well choreographed event. From the way Alex handles her shotgun and attacks the enemies, to the way the remaining Combine soldiers move about, to the direction the zombies knock debris around, all of it seems to be perfectly planned. I'm amazed every time I play through this sequence, which is without a doubt my favourite part of the game. This part is great, with the 4 zombies lingering in the lounge like family members waiting for news of a loved one's surgery. Then, of course, the zombies banging on the glass from inside the treatment room is always hilarious to me. I just find something extremely funny about them banging on things, trying to get at you, as they do indeed want at you very badly, but simply are not smart enough to be able to figure out how to use door latches, etc., and then resort simply to banging on the barrier in an attempt to get it out of the way. Now, I know that in the commentary it was stated that most players could not resist opening the door of that room and letting the zombies out. However, I never even realised you could open it on your own until hearing the commentary. I guess it just never occurred to me to try and do that. I guess maybe I simply have a much more inbred fear of zombies in hospitals than most people, since in real life the threat of zombies in a hospital is much more real to me than the average person. The humanitarian mission, and I know that term sounds dreadfully political, of escorting the citizens to the train station and thereby to freedom is, I felt, one of the highest points of Episode 1. While in Half-Life 2 we certainly rescued a couple of people, or rather Barney set them free from behind the force field, and we had squads of rather mediocre resistance members often following us around and providing a little extra gunfire, I felt that the escort of these people to the trains was something wholly and remarkably different. I wish there had been some more character interaction, however, and the deadly desperation of the situation had been made to feel much clearer. I wonder if in situations like this you wanted to make it a much more emotionally volatile encounter for the player, yet were still required to find a balance between entertaining gameplay as opposed to disturbing gameplay and storytelling. I think I'm more critical about the final showdown with the Strider than I am about anything else in the game. It worked well, mind you, and it was enjoyable, of course, trying to find the path through the shipping containers all the while dodging the Horde Strider's fire. But still, to me, I'm afraid it also felt rather predictable and empty to have this sort of, quote-unquote boss battle be the final major confrontation of the game. What I found myself wishing is that we had been able to pile on the last train with Barney and the last of the evacuees while dodging gunfire from Combine soldiers who would pour into the train station just as we slid away. I'm always a fan of the completely unexpected, and it just did not feel that the Strider was unexpected. However, that definitely does not detract from the satisfaction derived from destroying that bastard. However, as I like to do, I leave on a good note. I'm not quite sure what I can possibly say to further complement the final sequence as Alex and Gordon ride away on the back of the last train out. Taking into consideration that I've not seen an enormous amount of video games, I still wholeheartedly endorse the final scene here as being one of the most stunning and visually stirring sequences in a game. More stirring even than Mario's joyful reunion with Princess Toadstool, and I feel it's a fantastic conclusion to Episode 1. So I hope you've enjoyed my little presentation at least as much as I've enjoyed creating it, or failing that, I hope you at least were not frightened by it or insulted by it. You've outdone yourselves, Valve. Jolly good show. So keep up the good work, and I'll be looking forward to Episode 2.